1,000 years ago, there was a dark elf led by Malekith who wanted to destroy the universe so that darkness returned. To make that happen, he used a weapon called Aether which had to be released throughout the universe when the 9 worlds were in alignment. Fortunately, Malekith's plan was thwarted by the previous king of Asgard, who was Thor's grandfather. To save themselves, Malekith and his men sacrificed their people and continued to hide. It was not known by the king of Asgard and thought they were wiped out. Meanwhile, in the present in Asgard, Loki was tried by King Odin and put in prison for what he had done. Loki was very upset that he would be in prison while Thor would become king. Thor himself was currently with his friends to clean up the mess in the other world. And after he was done, he returned to Asgard. King Odin had talked to him to celebrate the victory with his people because he was the next king candidate. In addition, King Odin also told Thor to forget his love for Jane, who was a human, and suggested choosing an Asgard woman who was just like him. At that time, King Odin seemed to see Sif, Thor's friend who always fought with him, as a suitable candidate. Sif also seemed to be interested in Thor, but Thor still had his heart set on Jane. Every night Thor even met Heimdall the gatekeeper to monitor Jane on Earth. Meanwhile, Jane, who was on Earth, was with a man named Richard who liked her, but it seemed that Jane was not interested in him and tried to avoid him. At that time, suddenly Darcy came and told her that the device for detecting alien signals suddenly sounded again, after which Jane seemed to keep thinking about it, and Richard, who realized, finally told Jane to go with Darcy. Jane immediately chased Darcy and they went to an empty building. They went there with a man named Ian, who was Darcy's intern. Arriving there, they found a group of children who claimed to have found the place first. The children then showed the strangeness that happened there. A child could lift a truck easily because the truck was almost floating and not affected by gravity. In addition, they also found an invisible hole that made objects appear from above when dropped down. When Jane tried it, it turned out that sometimes some things didn't come back after being thrown. They threw a tin can, some shoes, and car keys, and they didn't reappear. After that, Jane continued to walk in the direction indicated by her tracking device. Suddenly Jane entered another world and she found something that was none other than Aether. The Aether entered Jane's body and made her faint. At the same time, Thor in Asgard was with Heimdall, and when Heimdall tried to see Jane, he couldn't find her. It certainly made Thor worried. Shortly after, Jane regained consciousness in the building and she came out to meet Darcy. At that time there were already many police because Darcy called them because Jane disappeared for 5 hours. When Jane was talking to Darcy, suddenly she saw Thor coming. Jane immediately went to him and they talked to each other. Apparently, Thor was there because Heimdall could not see Jane. Darcy then interrupted their conversation and said that they might be detained by the police. Jane then approached the police and tried to explain, but the police insisted on detaining her because she had entered private land without permission. The policeman was about to pull Jane away when suddenly a red wave appeared and attacked the policeman there. Thor immediately approached and knew something was wrong with Jane. He then took Jane to Asgard. Arriving at Asgard, Jane was immediately examined by the nurses in Asgard. Odin apparently heard the news of Jane's arrival, so he came to the examination center and scolded Thor for not listening to his advice to forget Jane. Thor then said that Jane was sick, but Odin did not care and told the guards to take Jane away. When they touched her, the Aether inside Jane exploded again. Odin immediately checked Jane and he was shocked when he realized there was Aether inside her. After that, Jane and Thor followed Odin to a room, where Odin told them about Malekith and his evil plans in the past. Meanwhile, Malekith seemed to injure his subordinate named Curse and slipped something in the wound. After that, Curse snuck among the new prisoners of Asgard and let himself into prison. After being imprisoned, Curse took something from his wound and used it so that he became uncontrollable. He then went berserk and broke into the cage, then released the other prisoners except Loki, who seemed happy with the chaos. News of the chaos immediately reached Thor. At that time, Thor was with Jane and he also entrusted Jane to his mother named Frigga. Apparently not only inside Asgard, threats also began to enter from the Asgard gate. Heimdall realized that something had just entered Asgard and he stopped it, but it turned out that what he destroyed was only a small plane and there were still many other small planes flying from Malekith's mothership. While everyone was focused on fighting the intruders, Malekith and Curse entered Frigga's room and tried to capture Jane. But it turned out that Jane who was there was only an illusion created by Frigga. Because Frigga refused to hand over Jane, they killed Frigga. After that, Thor came and immediately attacked them, but they immediately fled to the mothership. King Odin also came and saw his wife who could not be saved. Jane, who had been hiding, came out and saw Thor and King Odin, who were sad. Shortly thereafter, the ceremony of burning the body of Frigga and also all the victims of the attack were carried out. Loki was also informed about Frigga's death and he seemed to vent his anger on the surrounding objects. The next day Thor went to his father because Jane had been secured by King Odin. Thor then explained his plan that he intended to take Jane to the Dark World and keep the enemy away from Asgard, after which he would attack Malekith and destroy the Aether when Malekith took it from Jane. But King Odin did not seem to agree with the plan, and preferred to fight in Asgard. After that, King Odin closed Asgard so that no one could enter or leave, and Heimdall was temporarily relieved of his duties as gatekeeper and now he was talking to Thor. Thor then invited Heimdall to work together against the king even though it would be called rebellion. Heimdall seemed to agree. Shortly after, Thor gathered his comrades and he began to explain his plan to them. Thor apparently wanted to ask Loki for help because only he could take him out of Asgard through a secret passage. Loki himself seemed to be devastated in his cell due to the death of Frigga. When Thor came and asked for his help, Loki agreed and he went with Thor. Meanwhile, Jane had also been freed from the guards by Sif. Soon she was taken by Thor and Loki. Loki was always reminded by Thor's colleagues who helped them that he should not betray him, and the relaxed Loki always did not bother. They then got into an enemy airplane that was stranded inside the palace. Thor piloted it and they flew outside the palace. When they were a little far away, they outwitted the guards by jumping into a smaller plane. From there it was Loki's turn to drive and take them out of Asgard. Soon they arrived in the Dark World. Apparently, Malekith had also appeared and knew that the Aether was there. After that, the handcuffed Loki asked Thor to remove his handcuffs and Thor did. At that moment, Loki stabbed Thor and cut off his hand. He then gave Jane to Malekith and asked him to see the destruction of Asgard. Malekith then began to absorb Aether from Jane, and at that moment Thor shouted to Loki that it was time. Loki apparently only pretended to fight with Thor to trick Malekith. He immediately protected Jane while Thor, whose hands were back intact, attacked the Aether with his lightning. Even so, the Aether that had been destroyed gathered again and entered Malekith's body. After that, a fight ensued and Loki died after being stabbed by Curse. Thor, who was saddened, then took Jane to a cave, and there Jane told that when the Aether was taken from her, she saw Malekith destroy everything from the earth. After that, Jane even got a signal so that her phone rang. Apparently, in the cave there was a portal to the earth, and in the cave there were also car keys and other items that she had thrown from the earth. After that, they entered the portal and immediately exited the empty building that Jane had visited. Jane then immediately drove her car and went to her apartment. There was already Darcy, Ian, and also Eric. Eric was put in a mental hospital because he was considered crazy after trying to research something while naked. Fortunately, Darcy and Ian took him from there. They then began discussing the place where Malekith would appear. After Eric researched it, it turned out that his appearance was in Greenwich. They immediately headed there and had to plug in 3 tools belonging to Eric. Not long after, Malekith's plane arrived. The fight ensued, and plus the conditions there were chaotic because of the 9 worlds that would soon be lined up. When they were running out of time, Thor took Eric's tools and flew him to the center of the storm. Thor then fought with Malekith and defeated him. Shortly thereafter, Thor was already in Asgard. He talked to his father that he could not forget Jane and he also did not want to be king. Even so, Thor promised to continue to guard and protect Asgard. Thor left and King Odin gave his permission. Unbeknownst to Thor, it was not King Odin that he was talking to, but Loki. Thor returned to Earth and immediately met Jane, who welcomed him with joy.